I'm going to get started on your reading. Before I get started, I wanted to tell you a little bit about how I like to do my readings. What I do is do the spread, get the general feeling about what I get, like my gut instinct off the card, and then I go through my tarot books and I kind of make a Mod Podge list of the two, and then I write them in my little book. That is just so I can keep track during my video readings, keep in order all my thoughts in order. I do have some memory issues, so it's just easier for me. The spread that I chose for you was a horseshoe spread. It is a 7-card spread with 2 clarification cards at the end. The clarification cards, I personally like to do them just to kind of summarize the whole reading and to kind of touch base on things that the rest of the reading might have missed. And yeah, I kind of glanced over what you were interested in, like your question or whatever at the beginning. Kind of glanced over it and kind of got a general feel of, you know, what's going on in your relationship. And I know you had questions about your ex and what's going on with him and him trying to come back in. And before I actually dive into actually reading my notes and reading the cards for you, I wanted to verify that you are wanting to know everything, because sometimes it kind of touches base on things that sometimes that, you know, we're not prepared to actually hear. So if you are ready to hear everything, keep watching. But if you're not so much interested in hearing the truth and at least what my gut instincts are about the situation, then I suggest turn it off, or maybe, you know, come back to it later when you're ready, because there's some honest truths in here that I feel like that might hit you hard. You might not be ready for it. So also, before I get started, if you need to, I highly suggest to get a pen and paper and kind of jot down your notes. If you have any questions at the end, just let me know. But I like to suggest to get a notepad because I kind of go through these readings pretty fast. So yeah, I'm going to get started. The first card that I pulled for you will represent the past, and that is the Fool. So the Fool, to me, in this spread will represent you and your relationship with him changing. Unable to move or unable to make a balanced decision or to move forward. New beginning. So this card to me represents you guys splitting, basically, that you guys are separated, and it's talking about your issues with having to move forward and that sort of stuff. And I know that's one of the issues that you brought up when you asked for the reading. So it's coming up in this very first card. New beginnings, excitement, there's risks, challenge. It's been a real challenge for you to kind of get started and away from him. After the breakup, I feel like it was kind of a shock to you, and it was really hard, and it was a challenge. There's been risks involved, starting new and starting over. It talks about leaving a situation, your divorce or separation. And if you look in the background, he's actually holding a stick with the bundle. Now the bundle represents your past, and since it's behind him, it says that you have no use for it. It's outlived its purpose. You no longer need it. Struggling with fears, doubts of being alone, or doubts or fears of starting over. Card of change. So there was a lot of change happening in your past, and it's bringing up all those fears and doubts that you had about being alone and leaving with the breakup and everything. So I think that's pretty spot on with what you were telling me in your message. So let me go ahead and move on to the next card. The next card is the Emperor. Okay, so this will represent the present. This is an authority figure, usually a male figure, maternal, material, wealth, leadership, power to influence. This masculine figure coming into the picture, again, I'm going to say that this card is going to be representing your ex and him coming back into the picture. Let's see. Now, if you could see, I don't know if it's in this one. Okay, so some decks on the Emperor you're going to see in the background or on his chair or his throne, there's going to be an eagle. In this deck, for whatever reason, they chose not to put it in there. But that eagle actually represents rising higher. And that is your knowing, what you know about the situation. This person is a huge influence. There's dominance, controlling. It says it's time to pay attention to material elements of life. So usually hand in hand, there's an emperor and an empress. One is feelings and one is materialistic, and they equal each other out. But since you just pulled the emperor in this spread, the emperor without the empress in a reading creates a lopsidedness. They balance each other out, but without her, it's not a good match. So you only pulled him in this reading, so I'm going to have to say that with this representing your ex, I don't think it's a good combination between you two. I'm going to dive more into that further into the reading, but that's just one little piece that I picked up on there, that since the Empress didn't come into the picture on this, that he might be just one-sided and only care about kind of selfish. So I'm going to move on. So the next card will represent what's helping the situation. The card that I pulled for you is the Ace of Wands or Rods reversed. Now, reverse cards, they could mean multiple things, but mainly it's usually the opposite of what the actual meaning of the card is. So if it says it's a happy card, it usually means it's bad. Or it could also mean how you should feel in this situation, or it could also represent future things happening, or it could mean what other people feel. It just depends on how the other cards play into the situation. And so I'm going to go ahead and read my notes on the Ace of Wands or Rods. So there's energy, passion, creativeness, excitement. Okay, so it talks about importance of starting new beginnings. New beginnings, not new beginnings with your ex, but starting over fresh. Starting over, since this is reversed, it could mean starting, okay, it could represent starting over with your ex or starting over with a new relationship. So let's see. So I don't know if you could actually see in this one. In the very background, you see a castle. Now, the castle represents promise of potential, hope, or goal to aim for. There's a powerful rush of energy with this card. Powerful rush of energy for a new project. A new project. It keeps bringing up new. So, judging by the first couple cards, I think, honestly, that it's talking about a new beginning. Not something new with him, but somebody new. So just keep that in mind when I'm reading this card, or this deck, or this spread. Let's see. So it talks about false start or unfulfilling relationship. It says to take off the rose-colored glasses. I don't know if you know what a rose-colored glasses are, but if you don't, you need to look that up. Rose-colored glasses. Take them off and see things for how they really are. Yeah, so far it's not looking too good with this guy. The next card is going to represent your obstacles. Okay, so the Knight of Swords reversed. There's upheaval, disruptions, interruptions, excitement, change. So this person is easy to fall in love. And then it says the man can choose the wrong person, blind to shortcomings, someone in a great hurry, not wanting to stick around. There's chaos, fast motions, fast things happening really fast, lots of activity, consequences. There's consequences. Could represent someone provoking an important change in you. He gets bored very easily. Gets bored very easily. You were talking about how he might be with somebody. He's getting bored, and that's what this is all about. That's going to be, if he has issues in the past of infidelity, what's he going to do? You know, why did you guys break up? Was that an issue when you guys were together? Or if he's having those issues with his current girlfriend, then what is he going to do with you guys, right? So this card is talking about him being bored, and he's very fickle. He doesn't like to stick around. I don't see him being forthright and actually being honest and that sort of thing. So let's see. The attitudes. So this next card is going to represent attitudes, and it could represent your attitude, what you already feel, or it could represent his attitude, what he already feels, or it could represent the future of what you guys feel, or could represent how you should feel, or other people, not just you guys. It could represent your family members or friends or whatever, given the situation. Okay, so the card that I pulled for that, I'm going to say this is him. This is definitely him. This is all about him. It says, cannot be trusted. Now, if you look in the picture, in the background, there's actually a tent. And what he's doing is being very, very sneaky. He's taking these swords, and it's not very clear. It doesn't tell you whether or not he's taking them by, if they're his, or if he's actually stealing them. And it's just an uneasy card. Uneasy, dishonesty. So, let's see. It talks about diplomacy. Need to keep things peaceful for your son. It talks about keeping things diplomatic between you and your ex. Keeping the peace so it doesn't... You've come so far with the relationship and the breakup, and you've kind of came to a new place where you guys had a set routine and that sort of thing. And it's talking about that in this card, that you guys need to keep that diplomacy, that set routine with your son, and don't mess it up. So if you guys do choose to take it to the next level and see how it works, do not involve your son between you guys. Get a babysitter. Make sure he doesn't know that you guys are seeing each other. You don't want to upset your son, basically. You don't want to give your son false hope, I guess. So, let's see. Keep things peaceful for your son. Tact. Avoid aggressive or assertive behavior. Then it talks about fleeing. Him fleeing. Him taking off again. So I'm not getting, this whole reading to me felt really negative, and I dislike doing negative readings, but every single card and every feeling that I got off of your ex was not a positive feeling. This is one of the major cards that I was like, I wouldn't trust him. So let's see. He's looking over his shoulder. So that represents guilt. If he's looking over his shoulder, he already has a baby mama or a supposedly girlfriend with a pregnancy, or that's up in the air. You really don't know, but he's looking over his shoulder. So if he does or doesn't, it just seems shady. There's guilt. He's scheming, planning. It talks about discretion. So discretion is keeping it kind of hidden away from your son if you guys do choose to try to work things out. Maybe for the first couple months, if you do try to work it out, keep it away from your son. You don't want your son thinking that you guys are coming back together only to be disappointed if it doesn't work out. You know what I mean? That wouldn't be good for your son. It talks about dishonesty and deception. I don't like this reading. Okay, so the next card that I pulled for you, it represents what to do. I got, or you got, the Nine of Rods or the Nine of Wands. So this talks about hard or difficult times must be met with strength and determination. Stand your ground. That's what this talks about, standing your ground. You've already been through this, either with him or in the past. You've already fought for your territory. Defend what's yours. Defend what's yours. What have you been doing since you guys broke up? You have worked on your self-esteem. You've worked on loving yourself. You've worked on loving your son and being happy and growing, basically. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my situation and try to relate. My son's dad left for a year and didn't help at all. And I was completely ruined. Like, I cried myself to sleep, like, every single night. And it was almost about a year that I said, screw it. I'm going to start taking care of myself. I'm going to start caring about myself again. I'm going to start seeing other people. And I started to feel good about myself. And I actually got to a better point where I was okay. And I knew what I wanted. I knew what I deserved. I deserved to be happy. I deserved to be loved and that sort of thing. So that is where this card is going. What you need to do is to get to that place where you know what you want in a relationship, what you want in the future. You need to get to that point where you do not take anyone's shit, basically. That you put down your foot, stand your ground, make a list of pros and cons, or even ultimatums. Give them an ultimatum. If you want to make this work, this needs to happen, or you can't do this, basically. That this is for our son, and if you want to make it work, this is what I need from you. And ultimatums suck, but at the end of the day, your happiness and your son's happiness is, like, more important. At least to me, that's what was going through my head when I got back together with my ex. So I put my foot down. I'm not going to take any shit. You have to be there, support us, no matter what, and that sort of thing. So that's where this card is going. It says, you've already fought for your territory, defend what's yours, your happiness, love, respect, what you deserve. It talks about your dreams being dented or damaged. So before you guys split up, before my ex and I, or my son's dad and I were back together, but before that, before we split up, it felt perfect. I was so in love with him, and we were the perfect couple. We were the perfect family. We had our son. I was super happy. All we needed to do is work towards buying our own house and getting on our own. We were staying with with my family at the time. So when he left, it felt like that whole image of him and us was destroyed, right? And in this reading, that's kind of where I feel like what happened between you and him is before, yeah, you might have had your problems, you might have fought, but you guys were in love, you guys were a couple and a family, and it talks about your dreams being dented or crushed, and I feel like that's where this is coming from. It's like you had this perfect picture of your family, and it doesn't feel like the puzzle pieces are going to fit back together, you know? So it talks about that. Dreams being dented or damaged, don't give in. Protect what's dear. And protect what's dear is your happiness, your son, your love, everything that you want and deserve. Protect that. Reserve your strength and courage. Hard and difficult times, know deep down what you want and deserve, and do not settle. Self-discipline, control. So, honey, you gotta get a backbone, basically. That's what this card is saying. Don't give in to him. Okay, so the next card is gonna represent your outcome. If you continue to try to make things work with him, this is the card that I get from it. The Wheel of Fortune. I never have any good feelings about this card. It's a Wheel of Fortune, basically. It's a hit and miss, kind of up and down, good and bad, bipolar, like not a stable situation, basically. It says Wheel of Fortune, rise and fall, good and bad, fate and free will. You're gambling, basically. It talks about new beginnings. So again, if you choose to start over with him, but I have a gut feeling that you need to find somebody new, somebody that's actually going to appreciate you for you and appreciate your relationship and appreciate your son and that sort of thing. Not saying that your ex doesn't do all those things, but that's where this reading is kind of going towards. It talks about him being fickle, not really having a set goal in mind with you guys, kind of fickle. Turn, okay, there's a turn for the worst. There's a blind optimist. Blind optimism can lead to failure. So when I read that, it makes me think, okay, so why did you guys break up? You don't have to tell me, but you personally have to reflect on everything that you guys went through in the past and kind of see, okay, what has changed or what can be changed. Kind of do a self-evaluation about yourself, what you want in a relationship and what he's willing to give, if he's willing to compromise or vice versa, but work towards whatever. But with this card, it's like, it's a revolving thing. So it's like, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. It doesn't seem healthy, basically. So at the very end of my readings, I like to do clarification cards. Sometimes it's 1, sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 3. It just kind of, like I said, it touches base with stuff that I might have missed in the reading, or it kind of just summarizes my instincts and stuff. And the cards that I pulled for you, or for this reading, I think it flows just perfectly. So the cards that I pulled for you, the first one is the Hanged Man reversed. Unwillingness to make sacrifices. Effort is needed before the situation improves, and that's on his end. If the relationship were to succeed, he needs to make sacrifices. He needs to make changes, or vice versa. You need to make changes. You guys need to work together and make a positive change. But with all the other cards, and especially the Wheel of Fortune, it doesn't seem like it's going to be a good thing. So let's see. New start. It talks about the new start again. I honestly think it's referring to somebody else, but it could mean him starting over. What you already know about him or the relationship. Why did it end? Why are you guys exes? So the very last card that I pulled for you, it's going to summarize the whole thing. Temperance. Temperance reversed. Okay, usually this card, if it was normal, this is the perfect card, like, literally, it means perfection, the right amount, moderation, successful blend, successful partnerships, union of opposites, harmony. But it's reversed, honey. It's reversed. So it's pretty much opposite. This is talking about your relationship with this guy, and I don't feel like it's the perfect relationship for you guys. So since it's reversed, I don't think it's going to be a successful blend. It's not going to be a successful partnership. It's not a union of opposites. There's disharmony, frustration, people not working or working at, okay, people not working together, or they're working at cross purposes. They have different intentions. Two people don't mix. You guys just, in the long run, I don't feel like this is going to be a healthy situation for you, for your son, or for your ex. I just don't feel it. Now, I know that this whole reading, sorry, I just got goosebumps. This whole reading does not seem very positive, and I apologize. I don't like giving bad news. I know you are really in love with this guy, but it just doesn't seem right. And if you've made it this far in the video, I appreciate you sticking around. I know how hard it is to kind of face the truth of the matter and all that bad stuff, but you asked, and so you shall receive. So if you can, just give me some feedback, what you think, or if you want to just tell me to go to hell, you're going to date him anyway. But honestly, I don't think it's going to work out. I really feel like there's going to be somebody that's actually meant for you and for your son. Yeah, his dad is always going to be in the picture, but I feel like there's somebody else that's meant for you guys. If you want, later on, I could try to do a twin flame or soulmate, or even a personality spread to see, or even a year. I could do a zodiac, a year. Basically what it is, I pull 12 cards and then a 13th card, and each card in the spread represents each month for the year. And I can see if there's a new person coming down the line that might kind of spark your interest, or what's ahead in the next couple months. So if you didn't like this reading too much, the next time I have some spare time to do another reading, I'll try to get that out. Just let me know if you're interested. Let me know how you feel about this reading. I'm sorry it was kind of bad. I'll talk to you later. Bye!